working in the oil and gas industry is dangerous. In the news, we often hear about accident and near accidents. It was worse in earlier times, but how is it now? My brother and I will try to find an answer. In Stavanger, the oil capital of Norway, we found Dr. Svein Arne Hapnes. He is medical director of the air ambulance and has experienced many accidents in the oil industry. In old newspapers from 1980, we have read that you were on board of one of the helicopters trying to save persons after the terrible Alexander Kielland accident that killed 123 persons. Can you tell us about this accident?
Yes, I was just starting in the service at that time, and this was actually my first mission, my first real scramble. So it was indeed special. We had at that time 3 helicopters out to the accident scene, since it was a very big accident, and I was on helicopter number 3. And I remember one of the pilots who should take our helicopter out to the sea. He had to be flown by a Norwegian fighting aircraft, a so-called F5, from an airbase called Rygge over to Sola before he could fly basically, because we did not have so many pilots to man 3 helicopters. As soon as he arrived, we went out in the sea, and it was bad weather, bad visibility, but we found the accident place, and we could see the platform has capsized, and we could see the legs of the platform out of the water. We could of course not see the platform. We also found some dead bodies in the water, which we recovered, and we saw a lot of wreckage and so on, but we did not find anyone alive. They had been rescued before we arrived.
Geir Svaroporaut is professor in safety science. He has been working with health risk in the petroleum sector. We went to him to hear his opinions about the situation.
It's really true that it's been a great improvement in the safety situation in the petroleum activities in the North Sea during 30 to 40 years. This illustration shows the development in the mortality rate due to occupational incidents on different types of installations in the Norwegian Sea. As we can see, the rates were really huge at the end of the 1960s and during the 1970s. But from about 1980, we have experienced a great improvement and quite low mortality rates. And if we take a look at the present situation, it's not possible to use the data for mortality rate. Then we have to use morbidity or injury rate. And as we can see, it has been lowered by almost 70 to 90%. From year 2000 till now, 2010-2015. So it's correct to say that the risk level has been quite lowering during the last decades. And I think the reason behind this improvement is that different actors, the authorities as well as the companies and the labor unions and other organizations related to petroleum activities in the North Sea, they have had a mutual interest to improve the situation. And they have been able to cooperate under high mutual trust, trusting each other, working with the same goals, and then they have made it possible to improve the situation.
Working in the North Sea on the oil rig was a tough job, and to start with, we had many accidents, and these were reported from the companies to the government authorities. All of these are put on the internet, so anybody can access them and have a look. This one is from a person who was killed because a big item fell down and hit him, and he was killed instantly. And the interesting thing about these documents is that we don't only get the report, we get the correspondence between the company and the authorities, and they are also discussing what they want to do afterwards to improve the work environment. So you get a very good picture of both what happened, but also how the various actors dealt with the issue and what they did to improve conditions.
What can the archive tell us about the past?
Well, the Norwegian Oil and Gas Archive, they collect records from both the oil and gas companies and the state agencies that deal with questions concerning the oil and gas business. And we get the records from all of these. And nobody knows the whole truth, but when we get accurate documents that were made when the things happened from various persons and various companies and institutions, we get a pretty good picture. The world changes all the time and very rapidly. And at the same time, the human mind is a very fragile thing. We don't remember what happened even a year ago. And also human life is very short. So we might live for another few decades and then we're gone. And nobody knows what happened if they didn't experience it themselves. And even when they experienced it themselves, they will forget many things. This is where records come in, because when everything has disappeared and things are forgotten, they are still documented in the records. Here, for example, we have all the drawings and plans for one of the biggest gas fields in the North Sea that supplied Britain with most of its natural gas for energy purposes for many decades. Now everything is gone. The only thing that is left are the records. And from these records, even the small tiny drawings that are small miniatures of the original drawings, correspondence, plans, minutes of meetings, all this makes it possible for us to study and to understand how this field was run, what happened, what were the successes, what were the accidents, why did it happen, how could it be improved. All this helps us to understand the energy history of the North Sea